Sangeeta ma'am, can you begin, please?
Yes, ma'am. I hope my presentation is visible to all.
Yes, ma'am. We can see your
Just
presentation.
okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Happy morning to everyone. And today I'm going to take up with the topic of thinking gears and thinking keys under the pillar teaching and learning. So we will move ahead with the session objectives. So the objectives, by the end of the session, the teachers will be able to understand thinking gears and thinking keys as tools for intentional thinking. So these are two broader concepts which we can basically include in our planning and make thinking more conscious for our learners. Our maybe primary learners is the focus. So that understanding the thinking gears and thinking keys is the major idea. And we'll also see the connect with visual thinking routines. So we are all used to visual thinking routines and usage of the same in classroom, but having a conscious effort to combine that in a plan is something that we look forward to. And we'll also design one classroom strategy using thinking gears and keys so that we get an hands-on experience and we can take it forward as further learning. So we have this Mentimeter poll. We'll start with just to understand how thinking gears and we'll just understand with the question in your classroom students mostly focus on. So you'll have 4 options that you can choose from. So we're getting more votes for both depending on the task. We can check up going further. So we'll just move ahead with our learning. So the most important question, why thinking matters in classroom? Basically what we think is maybe we can have a few chats to check, maybe y'all can message what you think, why thinking matters in classroom, why is it important? So we get a chat focusing on holistic development for primary grades through active participation and critical thinking, such as project-based learning, gamification, and experiential activities. Great. Okay, we have few more. Students can share their existing knowledge, showing interest. We get one more saying inquiry based. Then connect to learning and make learning worthwhile. Giving agency to learners. So we also have something saying student-centric, teacher-guided, inquiry-based. So connect to learning and make learning worthwhile. Students can share their existing knowledge, showing interest. Make learning meaningful. So true. So that is where we can connect with the poll, isn't it? Like when the children are searching only for answers, in a traditional classroom, of course, often focuses on answers and not on thinking. So the children will only focus on what is the right answer and their thinking is not involved over there. But intentional thinking leads to deeper understanding and learning. So today we'll focus on making thinking visible and purposeful. So we also look into the parameter knowledge plus skills is equal to conceptual thinking plus understanding. So K plus S is U. So the key message that we are taking today back is learning is deeper and more meaningful when students are taught how to think, not just what to learn. So just telling them to think is not the part there. They should know how to think in a guided method. So we are going to use the two major tools, thinking gears and thinking keys for the purpose. Thinking gears are basically the framework to activate different types of thinking in an interactive classroom. They support intentional lesson planning, and we need not use all the gears for one learning engagement. It's completely up to the facilitator to decide what would suit the learning engagement for the children in the plan. So we can use all or maybe a few of them which suits best. We would also see some exemplars here that we have implemented in the classroom. So the 6 thinking gears are remembering. Gear 1 is remembering. So basically the memory of the children is taken into consideration over here. We would like to see whether they are able to get back or retrieve the information from the memory and present it or reflect it. Maybe some definition of facts, not necessarily just definition of facts, but also maybe the understanding of the concept can be retrieved from the memory and presented out. So that is when we plan the engagement in a way that remembering gear is activated. Understanding here. So we are also checking on the in-depth understanding here. Like they are able to present it in their own words or in their own more detailed way. So that is where the understanding here gets activated. And then when the child or the student, the learner, is able to apply what they have learned or what they can remember, what they have understood into their own real world scenarios. So the application and linking is the applying gear. And when they are able to analyze and break down problems and identify patterns, and when they are able to analyze more in depth, the analyzing gear gets activated. Then we have the evaluating gear, where strategic judgments and tough calls, which can also be a part of peer assessment or self-assessment. So that is where they evaluate and not just the assessment, but also their own knowledge, where they probe more and try to evaluate the right and wrong within the concepts. And then creating here, with all of the understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating, when they are able to create something new, maybe a new idea or a model or a solution, that is where the complete learning cycle comes to an end. So any concept when they are able to do with the complete cycle is a complete learning for the children. So when we connect this, just a minute, yeah. So here we can see a straight connect of the thinking gears with the Bloom's taxonomy. So the first 3 gears, the remembering gear, understanding gear, and applying gear, are basically the core thinking skills. So when these gears are activated, the core thinking skills get developed in a learner. And when they analyze, evaluate, and create, the critical thinking skills get activated. So making a conscious effort to plan the learning engagements with the thinking gears does improve a lot, and we have witnessed that in the classroom as well. So the context of usage of each gear. So we basically already did that. So just a quick revision on the same. Remembering here is to recall, recognize, or retrieve information. Understanding here is explaining ideas, interpret meaning, and summarize in their own words or present in their own way. Applying here is use knowledge in new situations or connect it with their own real-time examples where they can apply what they have learned. Analyze is where they can go more in depth, like they can break information into parts, or they can explore, they can maybe examine and identify patterns. An evaluating year is where they justify, they build an opinion, they make judgments, and they justify their opinions with strong statements. So assessment is a part of evaluating year. And creating year is when they generate new ideas with their existing learning of whatever they have done in the previous one. So this is a way which I want to share that I implemented thinking gears in my classroom. So we have basically used all the visual thinking routines which are in some way connected to the thinking gears in an unknowing way. But a conscious implementation in the classroom is where children understand and learn and build it with a conscious effort. So basically in the unit of inquiry where we are in place and time civilization of grade 5, in grade 5 we implemented this. So there was a learning engagement for the second line of inquiry where the children learn about past innovations, the present solutions, and they make a connect between the past, present, and future technologies. So this is the learning engagement where we implemented the thinking gears in the classroom. So learners explored the technologies used in different human systems. Like we presented many human systems to them: timekeeping system, education system, water management system, communication and housing system and all. So they saw multiple places where how the system was previously and how it has evolved now based on the need of the time. So children had reading resources and templates where they can research and find out all of this, and then the reflections were made using multiple gears. So we gave them options that they can choose from. There were choice board that they chose from, and children were divided into teams, 6 teams, and they were asked to pick up popsicle sticks, and each popsicle stick had a gear mentioned in that. So they were given options, and each thinking gear were given 3 learning engagements where they are where they which they can choose and reflect. So basically, I'll also show the slide where, the learning engagement towards the end after the PPT. Maybe you can have a quick look at the options that were given to the children. Each thinking gear, the children had 3 options to choose from for reflection, in the form of reflection. So these are just a few examples, the student outputs which I'm sharing on the screen. So one is for the remembering year, where a memory sketch, where a team chose to reflect as a memory sketch. And another is evaluating year. So the children use the star rating plus review. So this was chosen by the children from the options given in the choice board. And we have this applying year, where learning in my life. So they connected with drawings and sentences, each system, how they connect with their own life, where they see, where they use each this kind of systems, and what they see, they are able to reflect. So this is how the children reflected for the applying year. And this is for the analyzing gear. So they analyze the past and the present, the different systems, they just picked up 2 systems, transport system and communication system. And in the form of, compare and contrast frame, they have compared and contrasted the past and present for 2 systems and represented through sketch notes. And here we have the understanding here, where some of the children are very clearly express their understanding through sketch notes. And creating here, they have created uh, a diagrammatic representation of how the future would be. So they have imagined, designed, and explained. So they have imagined how the future would be. They have designed by showing a diagrammatic representation, and they have explained the same, what they have drawn. So this is for the creating gear. A few more examples for the remembering gear. There were a few who wanted to go up for extra reflection. So they just picked up some remembering gear topics, and a few teams worked extra as they finished their original work early. And this is I remember, one of the teams which reflected extra on the remembering gear. So basically, this is how we implemented the thinking gears in the classroom. Now moving on to thinking keys. Basically, the thinking keys were developed by Tony Rand. So there are more than what we are showing up here, but I've just picked up the top 6, which I thought could be implemented for the classroom learnings based on PYP learners on a easier level. So these are tools to stimulate curiosity and creativity. They are flexible and cross-curricular. So they do have the scope to take it forward to cross-curricular learning engagements. So the thinking keys. So I've picked up 6 thinking keys: the reverse key, the what if key, the disadvantages key, the combination key, the picture key, and the question key. So the reverse key basically encourages thinking in opposite or reversing the normal assumption, like thinking out of box. So um, like when they are thinking in a very conventional way, they challenge the original conventional thinking, and we'll see exemplars to see how it connects. What if key. So basically these children are put into, the learners are put into what if situations, like they are given prompts or questions asking for what if something goes wrong, like what if gravity stopped working. So that is when the what if key is activated in the classroom. What if schools were underwater? So these are just a few what if different scenarios, very similar to reverse key, but with a slight difference. Then we have the disadvantages key. So the children are given prompts or questions where they ideally they they think about the disadvantages of a particular scenario or a situation. So the downside or the risks involved. So that is the disadvantages key. The combination key is activated when two different learnings or two different concepts are combined. The children create something new. For example, combining a bicycle and a backpack to invent a new product for a completely new output. So that is when the combination thinking key is activated. The picture key. The picture key focuses more on pictorial representation, develops visual literacy and inferential thinking. So if you can connect to the previous slides where the creating gear, this is more of a picture key involved output. So the keys and gears do go hand in hand. We can very easily connect these with the keys, which we are seeing now. And the question key. The question key basically focuses on the question development skills of the children. It enhances inquiry and curiosity driven learning, and thoughtful open-ended questions about a topic is encouraged from the children, and the children are given prompts for developing those question keys as well, thinking in the direction. So basically this I implemented in my classroom through math, where the topic mean median mode was covered, and this was used as an exit ticket in my classroom, where again the same popsicle stick choice method in a group reflection as we started it, so that more children get used to it, and where the children pick up a stick and they answer to the exit ticket questions based on that. So learners reflected on their understanding of the concept, mean, median, mode, and also range by drawing those popsicle sticks. So each stick had either one of the 6 keys, and the learners responded to exit ticket prompts. So I'll just show you the learner outputs. There is, of course, again, a PPT which was shown to the children with the different questions. So each key, the children were given 3 exit ticket questions, which they answered in the form of reflection. So this is basically the answer from children for the combination key. So they have tried to connect data set mean, median, mode, and these are basically questions where maybe I'll quickly show you the PPT so that it's more interlinking. Maybe it might take more time to swap the screen, but I'll maybe just read out the questions for you all so that you can connect more easily. Okay, I hope you can see the screen now. So these are the questions that were given for combination key. So Can you create a data set where the mean, median, and mode are all the same? So now swapping to the output, you can connect with the children's reflection there. So yes, so they said that yes, we can create a data set with mean, median, and mode in the same, having the same mean, median, and mode. And then they have created a few examples and they have reflected in the way. They have thought extra and derived their own data sets where mean, median, and mode are same. So the second question says, combine two different data sets. What happens to the mean and range of the new data set? So the children were able to pick up two different data set, understand the original mean median mode of the two different data set, and they have combined the data set and they derived the new mean median mode, and they were able to reflect on and understand that when we combine, the output varies. So the third question, can you explain two sets with the same mean but get a different median? So yes, they have also reflected in the same pattern. Yes, because if we get a set of number and we calculate the mean, the median can get a different, the median can change. So this is what they have reflected understanding. So basically each and every combination key were different questions. So having time restriction, maybe I would request later on for sharing of the resources so that you can have an in-depth analysis of all the information for your reference. So this is basically the answer. Just as an exemplar, I connected one key one by one question wise. So similarly, for the reverse key related to reverse thinking related questions were given to the children and they responded. And then we have for the picture key. So here in one of the prompts, the children have managed to put a dot plot. So that was one of the task questions given to them, where the mode had to be represented through a dot plot in the picture key. So now this is the disadvantage key. So they have analyzed the disadvantages, like maybe in scenarios such as, where unusually data, which is like, one particular data fact is given completely different or far away from the other numbers. In a set of data where some say numbering between 20 to 50, if all of a sudden 250 or 300 is given, so how does it affect, or what are the disadvantages of you in such different kind of scenarios? That identifying the disadvantages in different kind of scenario related questions. And finally we have the question key, where the children were given prompts to frame questions and they have framed questions. Now, for instance, I'll just show this being a bit different. So these were the questions given to children for question key. What question would you ask to decide whether mean or median is better for a data set? So the children have come up on their level of understanding with these questions, like how does mean help find values in a data set? How does median help find values in a data set when compared to mean? And how do mean and median help find averages in different ways? So these are the questions that children have come up with based on the prompt question. Similarly for the other two, what questions can help you find out if a data set has a mode? So here they have come up with how much are the frequencies of the number in a data set and how much numbers repeat in the data set, kind of questions where they are trying to figure out whether there is a mode or no mode at all. So similarly for the third prompt, what question could you ask to check if the range alone is enough to describe the data? So the children have come up with questions like, how does the range justify the data set? How do the justifications of the data sets change without mean, median, and mode? So they have understood the reverse application as well. Like without mean, median, and mode is only the range left. So they have created questions in these different patterns. And uh, this has helped in many ways. And this is what if key, where what if questions were given and the children have responded. I will definitely share all these resources, maybe a tier with I think the team will share with you later on. We can have an in-depth look into this. So there are some related VTRs quickly, which can relate to the six thinking gears and the six. Yeah, thank you so much. I just got reconnected. There was a network issue. Okay, so basically these things are, we are all familiar with the visual thinking routines, and having an in-depth look at the resources would help you for your planners. So maybe this is something that we would share with you in detail, the thinking gears and the visual thinking routines, and thinking keys and how we can relate it to VTRs, the visual thinking routines, and the probable classroom applications. Now, here are a few things that I wish to highlight. The reverse key. So maybe probable classroom application is where we reverse a story ending. Like we did that in grade 4, where children were prompted to predict a different ending for the ant and the grasshopper, as they already had two versions. So what if the villain becomes the hero? So a completely reverse scenario. And these are just probable classroom applications that we can implement this. And these are again in a similar way. So now these are some VTR classroom exemplars related to visual thinking routines that we have done in our classroom. So in how we express ourselves, the media unit, we use the visual thinking routine, layers of meaning, where the children went deep down, understand the layers of meaning. So this is where, like, the children probed in depth into what is media, where do they find it, media is used for some examples. So they were able to reflect through mind maps and sketch notes. So these are just a few examples that I'm showing on the screen. These are all children reflection. And this is again claim support question, where in how we express ourselves, again the children have analyzed, they have seen pairs of advertisements, related ones, and they were able to understand the contrast between the same, like food, a healthy food advertisement, and maybe McDonald's eat healthy with a junk food advertisement. So, and what kind of impact that creates. So again, see, think, feel, connect. So they watched 4 meaningful videos and understood how audio, visuals, and messages, everything is like creates an impact on the audience and influence. They understood the influence and the parameters that are used to influence through this. And this is color symbol image, again in the media unit. Children, after understanding how color symbols and images through the previous learning engagement, they have created their own posters for social cause, and also explaining which color, symbol, and image they chose and why. So these are a few posters. And step inside. This is a scenario where the children have understood, like they stepped into scenarios where children are more with higher screen time. They see children around them or themselves, and they have reflected their feelings through step inside scenario. And again, the compass point. So remembering gear, understanding gear. So there are so many gears and thinking keys which are multiply involved in each of these VTRs. Of course, the resource will be shared so you can have an in-depth look in and understand how it worked. So coming towards the close of the session, so I would want you all to maybe take this Kahoot quiz and reflect upon a few quiz questions that are there. Kavin ma'am, can we please share this link for
Yes, ma'am.
everyone?
Shared it, ma'am, in the
So
chat.
the link is shared in the chat. Kavin ma'am, in case of more than 40 attendees, we can maybe share one more quiz link.
Yes, ma'am. If anyone wants, they can just chat in the chat box and we'll share.
Mm, yes, sure. So uh, I'm just also showing this Padlet activity, which is designed for post training. So once the resources are shared and you can have a clear understanding, there is also a template provided for planning uh, learning engagements with thinking years and thinking keys. So it would be wonderful if we all can connect on this Padlet platform and share with each other so that everyone can grow with the same. And ma'am, can we also please share the Padlet link alone with in the chat?
Yes, ma'am. Already shared. I've
Thank
shared
you
it,
so
ma'am.
thank you so much, ma'am. So opening up for any questions, question and answers in the chat, maybe. You can feel free to connect even later on with any doubts or questions. Maybe we can share the contact informations. And that's it from my end, ma'am. Thank you so much for being patient and